Thank you everyone for joining us today. And I'm going to introduce again and hand over to Styrling. And first thing I want to say is this is a strange one, the backhand slice, mainly because the first thing that you notice, and I obviously I do a lot of research on the internet about what people want to know about tennis and the shots and what they want to win, or how they want to win. Number three on the list of things that people want to know how to do in tennis is they type in, I want to hit a slice like Federer. Okay, yeah, and I want to be an astronaut, but it ain't gonna happen. Okay, anyway, so get this. I've got this list. Number one, by the way, is how do I correct my ball toss? Okay, that's but coming in at 3 and 4 is this slice Federer of this slice backhand of Roger Federer. Now, okay, yeah, it's a nice looking shot. I've got no doubts about that, and obviously emulating it is a noble ambition. However, here's the problem. Everyone discusses that backhand slice from a technical point of view rather than from a contextual point of view. You know, they never talk about when Federer uses this shot, which is the most important factor, bar none, right? It's when he does. So look, I see the coaches going on court with the players and they go, Dan, how do I teach a slice backhand? Look, and I think, like the serve, you can get pretty good as an isolated shot in your coaching lesson after about 2,000 goes. Right? Yeah, 2,000 of them, we're going to get somewhere. But look, I have never, ever seen that shot that's been developed, those 2,000 balls in practice, being used effectively in a tennis match by any one of the people who've learnt it. Okay? But they've learnt it in practice. And then they say, well, the thing is, look, I know how to do it, Dan, and they're pretty good, but I don't know. I can't. I just don't know. I can't use it in a match. And the answer is, of course, because you've been taught from a technical point of view, exclusively technically as an isolated shot. So there's no way you're going to be able to use it in a match because you weren't taught the most important thing. And then people say, Dan, look though, Dan, technique is very important. Well, of course it is. You need to know how to hit the shot, right? That's a given. And Styrling, please, can we just, we need to at least touch on how to hit a backhand like Federer today. But look, the conversation isn't worth having, or even you don't want to be venturing to do this shot unless you understand why he does it, when he does it. Okay, those are the two much more important things than the how. Let's look at when and the why, and the how is good. I guarantee you're going to make the how, i.e. the technical, so much easier. In fact, I would venture to say that if we do the how and you'd actually tried it in a match, if we did the why and the when, and did it in points and under a match situation, wow, we're going to just compress the amount of how that we have to do, the technical, right? Guys, I'm saving you time, I'm saving you money, and I'm saving you pain, right? We can do this shot, right? But as we're going to look at again, like we did with the topspin serve, right? We need the big why here. So on that point, or at this point, I'm going to hand over to my esteemed colleague, Mr. Styrling Struther, who will, I think, Styrling, can we can we look at the how, the why, and the when?
Yes. So let me first share my screen, and I want to use the spot on the ball, okay, as a way to sort of talk about what happens when you hit a slice in certain parts of the ball, okay? So here we have the top back of the ball. So if you're gonna hit a slice straight ahead, straight through the court, this is the part of the ball that you want to imagine hitting, the top back, okay? And especially if the ball is high in your shoulder range, you want to get to the top of the ball and hit sort of down and through and then back up. So that's the top back of the ball. Then we have the bottom out inside of the ball, if you will. So let's say, or the bottom outside, right? This is the bottom inside. So if you want the ball to sort of tail and go back away from you, okay, you want to hit through the bottom inside of the ball. And you see Fed do this a lot, where he carves the inside of the ball and makes the ball tail off, okay? You have the top outside of the ball. So if you want to take the ball more cross court, you're going to want to try to get to the top outside of the ball. And then lastly, you have the top inside, okay? That's really if you get jammed and you want the ball to go away from you on the slice. All right? So those are some, using the spot on the ball, you can start to figure out how you want to shape the ball, and that addresses the where, okay, where you want the slice to go. Do you want it to go down the line, and do you want it to tail off, and do you want it to cut back across the court and go cross court? So use the spot on the ball strategy. That's found in 7 on-court strategies, obviously on the membership site, as well as on the website transformpracticecourt.com, which is my personal website. So let's talk about the context and practicing the slice in context. It's extremely important, obviously, when you're trying to learn the slice, you're going to spend some time on the technical part. But once you start to get the feel of it after, really it should only take about 50 to 100 shots to sort of get get it down. Then you're going to want to practice the slice in the 2-shot sequencing. So let's talk about, why do you slice? Hitting a slice is never really set up like you're hitting a winner. You're not really trying to hit in the point with the slice. The slice is more of a setup shot to get something back that you really want. Maybe an inside out forehand, right? That's typically a great shot to set up with the slice. So if I'm going to play the slice, obviously I've got to know what the slice is going to do if I receive the ball high. What's my purpose in hitting a slice above my shoulder or maybe at the ear? And so typically you want to drive the ball, make the ball sit down, okay? Maybe you're playing a defensive shot where you're being stretched and you're trying to slice the ball back and maybe float it back to get yourself time to reset. So that's more of a defensive way to play the slice. You see Fed a lot. He'll get a ball that's kind of coming at him, maybe low, maybe tore into his hips, and he sort of slices away, and tries to get the ball to tail off. I would say that, when Fed plays the slice, he's not really looking to end the point at all. He's trying to either drive the ball deep and low, or maybe he's trying to defend out of the corner and maybe cut it back cross court, short angle. Even on the return of serve, maybe, he's getting a high kicker to his backhand on the ad side, or maybe even he's getting a hard serve inside run on the deuce where he's just trying to cut the ball and send it back into the cage deep. So it makes it very awkward for your opponent to be able to play top spin if you keep the slice low. So typically you cause issues if you're playing a player that's not used to answering a slice with a slice. They try to, and a lot of juniors try to just hit topspin. So you create havoc, if you will, in them having to reverse the spin completely. So we have to understand that when we learn the slice, the fastest way to learn it in a way you can use it is to practice it in the context of how you would like to use it. So maybe you have your coach feed in some high balls into your backhand and you're trying to cut the ball and keep it back low. Or maybe they play it into your body and you practice hitting through it in a way to make it tail back. So, if you're a player, try to help, talk to your coach about the scenarios where you would use the slice. So I'll give you an example. So my youngest son is 12 and obviously we work, on the technique, but immediately we begin to talk about why do you want to use the slice? When do you want to use the slice? Overusing the slice, underutilizing the slice. So everything about it was how, when, and why. And so this is definitely a conversation you want to have with yourself as a player, as well as if you're a coach, have this conversation as you teach this or rehearse this in practice.
Can I go back in time to
Sure.
maybe to the 1960s and 70s, where the lifted backhand, the topspin backhand, you rarely saw a double hander at that stage, but the lifted single backhand was very scarce, right? From what I can see, all right, it was a shock. Everyone go, did you see his marvelous lifted topspin backhand played at Wimbledon? Well, I remember the shock and horror that people had because everyone was slicing both sides for quite some time, even after the Second World War. But it was that was the shot that one did for a very long time. And then along comes the double hander, and the slice becomes much less used. I also think that certainly when I was being taught to play in the 1980s, that you really only used the slice. It was only taught as an approach shot, ever. But, and it, you kind of go through the motions in doing a slice. You could do them, but we were never taught about it in its competitive context. It was almost brought back by Federer. There was a pause. I remember Boris Becker destroyed Agassi after being nearly two sets down in Wimbledon about 1994, using the slice backhand brilliantly.
Yeah. I'd say Pete Sampras brought it back as well.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say about that? But also, there's the question of, what do you think that the double hander is going to struggle more with the slice, because it looks like they don't really use it.
Well, this is where it comes in, where you've obviously most two-handed backhand players, they'll play in a ready position with both their hands on the grip. And so if you play with both hands on the grip, you've got to learn to slide your left hand up to the throat of the racket as you make your unit turn. All right. And so either you're going to turn with both hands and then slide it up to slice, or you slide and then turn and then slide it back down to hit. So there has, once you as a two-handed backhand, once you know how to hit a one-handed, you've got to learn to actually practice rehearsing that motion where you get your hand up to the throat. Now, what I found is working with players, when I work, that's one of the first shots I teach is the slice on both sides, or what most European players call playing the ball open face. So we really don't try to slice the ball. We really just try to play it open face, where the face stays open.
Yeah. Can you remember that? Because really important point.
Yeah. So it's really important, as you know, when you're training young players, to get them slicing. If you don't slice a lot, it's good to just try to play it open face, and then you'll find that you're hitting side spin, underspin.
But isn't that the first point about Federer's slice? It's not. It's open face.
I mean, he doesn't. Yeah, I mean, he flares it out at the end, but he's really playing it open face here.
Yeah.
To sort of block. There's a lot of blocking that goes on, especially, first serve returns. If they're having,
it was almost more like I train it by doing backhand volley and moving back.
Yeah.
Because
that's the other thing. When you learn how to slice, your slice is going to help you with your backhand volley, and vice versa. And so I'll go slice approach, backhand slice approach to a backhand volley. And so now you're getting double time there on working on the technical aspects. Plus you're working on it, and you're working on regards to contact. So they'll go slice inside out and then backhand volley away, or slice backhand cross and then backhand volley away the other way, or backhand reverse back to them. So, that's the idea, is training the backhand slice in contacts is going to automatically make you more relaxed, more intentional, more deliberate with the technical part, because now you're doing it in the context of where you're trying to place the ball and why, right? It goes back to that, universal truth of the 12 principles, which is the tactical controls the technical. Okay. When you begin to focus on the tactical aspect of a shot, your technique tends to be more deliberate, more intentional. It cleans itself up in many aspects. And the tactical training, a backhand slice tactically, helps you and your coach begin to recognize the technical flaws or the technical adjustments that need to be made, right? It's like, okay, hit that backhand slice down the line. Well, if the player can't do it, obviously where they're contacting the ball is off. Maybe, they're coming too down on the ball, but you find the technical because of the tactical. And that's a very important point to understand as a coach and a player. So if you have a question or comment, we'd love for you to jump in. This really helps in the discussion to bring some clarity to what we're trying to tie together with technical.
I think Annie's got a question.
Okay, great.
I was just listening. I know I use the slice.
And get a little bit closer to your computer. Get a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't used my laptop for this before.
There you go.
Okay. I know I use my slice a lot, more than I should. So yeah, I know that when you watch Federer, he does use it at sensible times. But I don't know. This is about knowing when's the right time to hit it.
Okay. So I think Dan sent me a video of you playing some points the other day. Is that right?
Yeah.
So Annie, I wanted to say this to you. So I watched you play a game, and your first 2 points, the serve went to your backhand, and you hit through the backhand. And then you won both those points. And then, so you're up love 30, and the next 2 backhand returns, you hit slice, and you lost both points.
But not because of the slice.
Well, no. Well, I would submit that it was because of the backhand slice return, because you could have hit over that return, and it was a matter of you almost like defaulted to a shot that it looked like you could have been aggressive, but you kind of held back, right?
Yeah.
And it was especially on the one on the deuce court when you were up love 30.
Yeah.
and the ball kind of kicked up a little high, and instead of you like stepping forward and catching it a little bit on the rise like you had done the first point of the game, you kind of stayed back and sort of floated it, right? And it kind of almost got you behind in the point pretty quickly. So when is really important. When do you think would be the best time to play a slice other than the return of serve?
Oh, when like on the defense, so you're on the run.
Maybe on the run, okay, and that would be to buy time. But when would you play it to sort of try to set up something? What kind of ball would you be looking to receive from your opponent?
I mean, I use my slice quite reliably to when I come in quite a bit on the backhand
Okay,
side.
so approach.
That's maybe not the right answer for this question. Whereas, probably when to mix it up if you want to rally on the baseline.
There you go. When you find a ball that's around hip level and you just want to change the tempo, how about when your opponent sends you a slice?
Yeah.
There you go. That's a wonderful time to use that. Is it's in fact a lot of times we'll have our players they can only play backhand slice, right? So we'll play a game, and both players have to play backhand slice on every single shot they receive. So they have no choice. So they learn to hit the high slice and the low slice and the slice outside or the slice inside when the ball comes in. So there's a great way to practice your slicing contacts by actually putting a restriction on yourself as players to play a backhand slice every single time you get a backhand in a game, right? And that you learn to discover things as a player, and as far as when you should have and when you shouldn't have, right? So that's a great way to practice the slicing contacts, is just you have to hit it, and if you don't, well, you lose the point.
I've always used my slice when I know my backhand isn't swinging well. If that makes sense. That's my fault. That's why I'm so I do feel like I hit a good slice. So yeah, I'm learning when now not to, because I now have more trust in my backhand than I used to. If that makes sense. Yeah.
No. There obviously, if you feel comfortable hitting a slice, you can use it as a safety net to sort of buy you some time to collect yourself emotionally. But, you really want to get to that point. And all of us players want to get to the point where we use our slice in a offensive way to set up the next shot. Right.
Yeah.
And so to be really choosy with when you should play the slice and when you shouldn't play the slice. I think that's what makes Federer's backhand slice so grand, is he's extremely picky about when he uses it. He doesn't allow it to become a crutch. And I think a few years ago, when he started to step in and take more backhands or more balls on his backhand side on the rise and hit over them, especially against Rafa, you saw Federer start to win more again. And when Fed just kind of leans on that backhand slice as a crutch, especially when he plays someone like Rafa, you see Rafa take advantage. And so that's something as a player you definitely want to keep in mind.
Okay. Yeah.
I know Robert's on here, Robert down in Miami. Robert, you want to chime in with a question or comment about the way you use your slice, or the way you've started to discover this on your own? Or
Yeah, of course. Someone who I play with pretty oftenly, he plays very flat and on top of the line. So sometimes I'm playing the same way, and then it's just flat, and then he gets in a good rhythm, and then he hits a winner. And then next point, another winner. So then you kind of have to realize that I'm kind of playing his game. And then those are the opportunities that I use to play a slice or a heavy ball than a slice, so he can just experience a different ball. And usually his slice tends to float up, and get a little short. So I hit a slice, and I'm already expecting to step in and hit a slice. But sometimes I do overplay it, especially on defense.
Okay.
And there was this point, maybe like half a year ago, where every single ball where I had to take like more than 3 steps on the backhand, I would just do a slice, and then that would just like open up the entire court for the opponent. So I've been working on really getting my left leg a better stance on my left leg on the run, and just hitting a good cross court backhand, just to not overplay the slice on defense.
Right. So another thing that you can do as a player, and I know Annie and Roberto both are high-level players, is you can actually step into the court and cut that ball off and sort of play more of an abbreviated slice, more of a punch. That's another variation of using the slice. And you see Fed do that a lot, where if a ball's gonna pull him way off the court, he'll actually step into the court and cut that angle off and sort of block it and chip it. And so I want to define, one of the things about creating underspin or side spin is a slice is typically something that you hit deep. A chip shot is something you hit more of a sharp angle or shorter in the court. Maybe it lands around the service line, zone of truth area. And then there's there's the drop shot, where you can hit the drop shot. So all 3 of these utilize the underspin, side spin aspects. And of course the common term is obviously slice, but we want to definitely define our underspin shots into those 3 categories, so we can play those 3 shots in context: the slice, deep; the chip shot, sharp or short angle; and then the drop shot.
That's a really good point, because that slice, the chip or block slice, open face block slice, which is what people are talking about, I think, a lot of the time when they're talking about Federer's great slice, it's that one.
Yeah, it's that one. It's abbreviated.
It's so deliberate. It's so deliberate. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to draw Djokovic into the court.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He wants Djokovic into the court, then he can run him.
Yeah.
Or do whatever he is. I mean, could you say something about that, Styrling? Because look, Federer's job is he wants to run you first, I would argue.
Yeah, he wants to. When Fed uses that block short slice, he's typically hitting a cross court sharp angle. So he's hitting a chip, and he's hitting it close to that zone of truth, which is between the service line and the 60-foot line in that sharp angle, because he's trying to pull you not just up, but he's trying to pull you off the court, and he's opening the court so he can run you. So you're absolutely right. He's using that shot to set up the run. Okay. And so a lot of times too, you can catch a player, trying to run to the open court, and you can use that shot again to reverse them and go behind them. So yeah, I mean, it's, the slicing deep is great, but I'll tell you, if you can learn that short abbreviated chip slice, chip shot, that's really effective. Okay. And
can I add to that, Styrling? Because when I've been working with you, you've made it quite clear that the zone where players are least effective, or the type of movement players are least effective on, is moving forward, is moving into the court. Okay. They can make a pretty good job of moving back, and definitely 9 times out of 10, they're better at the runs, forehand and backhand runs. Coming into the court, not necessarily going to the net, but actually moving in to deal with the low ball. That is a gold mine if you want to start making errors on your opponent's part, because honestly, it doesn't matter what level you are. Federer knows that. Federer knows where those errors are, particularly the lower in the earlier rounds of tournaments.
Well, there's a couple things about what you just said is so true. Is number one, our practice courts generally look more baseline side to side movement. You have a lot of players, they train just grinding back and forth. They're not used to coming up toward the service line in that quote unquote no man's land and handling a ball from that part of the court and being able to do something with it. First of all, they don't know what to do with it because they don't actually rehearse receiving that ball a whole lot. They may rehearse high and floaters where they come in and just kind of knock a forehand drive off or a backhand drive, but that low into that sort of strike zone, but low and short. I'll tell you, every time you see Federer play John Isner, he uses the low slice into that part of the court because John Isner is 18 feet tall. So he has to come in and go down to his, ankles. And now Fed's got him, right? So it's the classic way that Fed just basically, owns John Isner is because he plays that low, slicey, short off speed ball. And it bounces just beyond the service line, and John can't do anything with it. And he uses that quite a bit against a lot of players, but especially tall players. So if you're playing someone that's taller, definitely you've got to rehearse that in practice so you can utilize it in a match. In doubles, I want to just address in doubles. In doubles, that part of the court is a gold mine. Right? If you're back, slice it low and short, make that player that's back come up. And now they're naturally going to hit up on the ball. Well, your net player should be ready for that. So that's definitely something you want to discuss with your doubles partner. Hey, I'm going to play this, chip and look to poach or look for the ball to come to you. So, I use that a lot in doubles, and it's brutal. It's brutal for my opponent.
Can I tell you what I like doing? I like hitting it really high on the forehand, almost moonballing the forehand. It would be an S1 or an S2, R1, R2.
Yeah.
And then I slice.
So mixing up high and heavy to the slice.
It's contrast. Again, that's a gold mine, particularly if that slice brings them in a little bit more. The run slice is also interesting, I think. So in other words, if you use the slice so let's say you hit outside serve, you're on the ad court, you hit outside serve, pull them out of the court that way, and they do get it to your backhand side. Then you go secondary, you go down straight down the line with a slice. Of course, it's low. It doesn't give them any time to get to the ball.
Right.
That's an interesting.
Yeah. If you practice if it goes outside on the ad wide, practice the one that goes down the line, but also practice that short slice or chip shot sharp angle. Right back into the ad zone of truth. So they have to come forward and play their S1 on the move forward. Very extremely effective. Like I said, it's a shot that is it's more of a feel shot. It is a shot that sets up something else. And so, that's why Federer's backhand slice is so good. It's how he uses it, when he uses it, and why he uses it. So, any last chance? Any other questions, comments before we move along? All right, great. Well, thanks for joining us today for this discussion. If you have any more comments or questions, you can always email us or text us. Also, check out the artofwinningtennis.com. We're going to be loading up some new videos on the slice, how to practice the slice. And we're going to use this opportunity to really develop these topics and then how to put them in context. So when you're a member of the Art of Tennis, it's a site that's always going to be updating, always going to have some new stuff coming in. I'm going to create some games, and we have some point scenarios for you. So check that out. And I think next week we're going to start a whole new series. Dan's going to put a series together, so look for that in your email box. Dan, where do you think what have you been thinking about, and some of the things that we've been talking about?
Oh, we're going to have fun with this schedule. Right. One of them is going to be looking at what we call the different player avatars. So, for example, how do we beat the player that we beat last time? So, if we beat the player we've beaten before, what do we do in approaching that one? How do we beat the player who...
Okay, Dan checked out on us. Let's go through the avatars again, because we cut out. The one is how to beat the player you just played and won against. What would be some other avatars we're going to go through?
Oh, how to beat the player who beat you last time.
Okay.
How to beat the player where you haven't played them before, but you're favoured. Okay? So that might be that you're seeded higher than they are, or it might mean that, well, everyone knows you're a better player than they are. You've got a higher ranking and so on. And how do you beat the player who is basically
you have no knowledge of, right?
No knowledge. Yeah, that's that. Yeah. What do we do there? So these avatars are really interesting because it does get you thinking. And yeah, we want to be looking at the some of the more advanced tactics that we can start incorporating into the game.
We're also going to be looking at the doubles tactics, doubles strategy. We're going to get into that as well. So there's a lot look forward to. We just want to thank everyone for joining us again today. If you have any questions about the membership, help through the portals, just shoot us an email or catch us on WhatsApp or Messenger. We love to talk to you. All right. Well, thanks a lot again.
All right. Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.